oaths of
Yes or
office
no?
and duty.
You're not
at
answering
the
my
FBI
question.
I don't have to answer your question yes or no because you're setting up a trap so you can have a media
I'm
narrative.
not setting up a trap.
And I'm not giving it to you.
Unless it's true that you fired people.
People have been terminated at the FBI who failed to uphold the standards that the FBI requires them to uphold.
Did you tell anyone at the FBI? Did you tell that to someone?
People are not removed for case assignments.
No, you're not answering my question.
And I would never tell anyone.
Did you tell someone at the FBI? You were asked by Glenn Beck about Epstein's Black Book. And you said, he asked, who has Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book? And you said, Black Book, FBI.
2 days, and we released the entirety of that transcript.
Who are the cabinet members?
I do not have that transcript in front of me. You're picking it piecemeal. The American public can read the entirety of that.
On their own, without any consultation with Blanche or anyone else, that they were going to suddenly, after this interview, completely unrelated to this interview, completely unrelated to anything she said, move her to a prison not suitable. You want the American people to believe that? Do you think they're stupid?
No. I think the American people believe the truth, that I'm not in the weeds on the everyday movements of inmates.
Not in the weeds?
What I am doing is protecting this country, providing historic reform, and combating the weaponization of intelligence by the likes of you. And we have countlessly proven you to be a liar in Russiagate, in January 6th. You are the biggest fraud to ever sit in the United States Senate. You are a disgrace to this institution and an utter coward.
Adam Schiff walked into that hearing room with a plan. Not a speech, not talking points, a plan. He had Patel's own words. He had the Epstein files. He had the Black Book. He had Ghislaine Maxwell's prison transfer on paper. And he had one question that Patel could not answer with a simple yes or no, no matter how hard he tried. Schiff worked through it all methodically, one piece at a time. Patel deflected. Patel dodged. Patel accused Schiff of setting traps. And then at the very end, when Schiff asked one final question about Maxwell's transfer to a facility that wasn't even legally appropriate for someone with her conviction, something broke. The FBI Director of the United States, sitting before the Senate Judiciary Committee, lost control completely. He called Schiff a liar, a coward, and a disgrace. And then he said it, "You are the biggest fraud to ever sit in the United States Senate." Watch what happens when a senator arrives fully prepared and the man across from him has nowhere left to go. Let me tell you who Adam Schiff is. He's a Democratic senator from California. Before the Senate, he served as a federal prosecutor and spent years as a member of the House Intelligence Committee, including as its chairman. He led the first impeachment inquiry against Donald Trump. He is not a politician who wings it in hearings. He is a lawyer who builds a case document by document, quote by quote. He does his homework, and he comes prepared to use it. This hearing took place before the Senate Judiciary Committee. It had been building for months. 3 senior FBI agents, including former acting director Brian Driscoll, had filed a lawsuit alleging they were fired on political orders. The Epstein files had become a growing controversy. And Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's convicted accomplice, had just been quietly transferred to a minimum security prison camp that was not legally appropriate for someone with her conviction. Schiff had read all of it, and he was ready. Schiff opened with Patel's own confirmation hearing promises. Back in January, Patel had looked Senator Coons in the eye and said there would be no politicization at the FBI, no retributive actions, not one. He told Senator Blumenthal that every single FBI employee would be protected against political retribution. Everyone, no exceptions. These were not passing remarks. These were specific commitments made under oath as a condition of getting the job. Schiff asked him directly, "Did you ever terminate or discipline any FBI employee in whole or in part as retribution for working on an investigation of Donald Trump or January 6th? Patel said no. Schiff followed up. "You're testifying today that you played no role in the firing of even a single FBI agent for political retribution. None for political retribution," Patel said. Then Schiff sharpened the question. "Are you testifying today that you never terminated anyone at the FBI in whole or in part because of a prior case assignment?" And Patel gave an answer that contained a single word Schiff immediately locked onto. "No one at the FBI is terminated for case assignments alone." Alone. Schiff paused, then leaned in. "You're saying alone. Does that mean they were terminated in part because they were assigned to a January 6th case or assigned to the Mar-a-Lago case? You're being very precise here, Mr. Patel. You're saying alone. That means they were fired in part because they were assigned those cases. Patel tried to push back. He said Schiff was constructing a narrative trap and he wasn't going to give it to him, which was either a smart legal defense or a signal that a straight yes or no would have been damaging. Schiff stripped the word away entirely. He asked again without it, "Did you terminate or discipline any FBI employee in whole or in part because of their work on an investigation of Donald Trump or January 6th? Yes or no?" Patel still wouldn't answer. Then Schiff went further. He brought up the active lawsuit. 3 senior agents, including Driscoll, alleged in court filings that Patel told Driscoll directly that he had been directed to fire anyone identified as having worked on criminal investigations against Donald Trump. Schiff asked him point blank, "Did you tell anyone at the FBI that employees who worked on cases against President Trump would be removed from their jobs?" Patel said he would never tell anyone that people are being removed for case assignments. Schiff pressed harder so Mr. Driscoll and others would be lying. Patel's response, "I'm not going to address the complaint in the ongoing litigation. That is not a denial." Schiff moved to the Epstein files. He reminded the committee that Patel had called himself the most transparent FBI director in history. Then he decided to test it. In 2024, before his confirmation, Patel sat down with Glenn Beck for an interview. Beck asked him who had Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book. Patel's answer was direct. "The Black Book is under the direct control of the FBI director." Those were his words, his claim, made publicly to a large audience before he had the job. Now he has the job. Schiff asked him, "So you have the Black Book?" Patel confirmed that what is known as Epstein's Black Book had been released by the FBI. Then Schiff turned to something more significant. Earlier in the hearing, Senator Kennedy had asked Patel a direct question. Who, if anyone, did Epstein move these victims to besides himself? Patel's answer to Kennedy had been stark. There is no credible information, none, that Epstein moved any victims to other individuals. If there were, I would have brought the case yesterday, Kennedy pushed. So the answer is no one, Patel said. From the information we have, Schiff picked up exactly where Kennedy had stopped. Is it your testimony today that in all the Epstein files, Jeffrey Epstein acted alone, that the list has exactly one name on it, and that name is Jeffrey Epstein? Patel tried to reframe it. He said he never claimed Epstein acted alone, but then he added that 3 administrations had reviewed the files and found no credible investigative leads to pursue any other individuals. Schiff brought up Virginia Giuffa, one of Epstein's most prominent victims, a woman who has testified under oath that she was connected to powerful individuals, that others were involved, and that this was not a one-man operation. Patel had no answer for that. 3 administrations reviewed those files and found nothing worth pursuing. That is what the FBI director told the Senate. Whether that reassures you or concerns you says a lot about how much trust you still have in these institutions. Here is what happened. Todd Blanche, the president's former personal criminal defense attorney, now serving as Deputy Attorney General, flew to Florida and spent 2 full days interviewing Ghislaine Maxwell. Maxwell is serving 20 years for her role in Epstein's operation. During that interview, she said something that Schiff read out loud in the hearing room. Maxwell described the men in Epstein's circle. She said these were not men who needed to come to Epstein for anything. They had access to everything on their own. They came for other reasons. And she said some of these individuals are currently serving in the cabinet. Blanche's follow-up question, according to the transcript, was not, who are they? It was about the last time she had personally spent time with Epstein. Schiff read that exchange out loud and then asked Patel directly, who are those cabinet members Maxwell is referring to? Patel said the full transcript had been released to the public. He said Schiff was pulling pieces out of context. He did not answer the question. Then Schiff got to the transfer. Shortly after that 2-day interview concluded, Maxwell was moved from a low-security federal facility in Tallahassee, Florida, to a minimum security prison camp in Bryan, Texas. Bureau of Prisons policy requires that those convicted on charges like Maxwell's be held in, at minimum, a low-security facility. The camp in Bryan falls below that threshold. The move happened immediately after the interview with no public explanation. Schiff asked who made that decision. Patel said the Bureau of Prisons. The Bureau of Prisons decided on their own, Schiff said, without any consultation with Blanche or anyone else, that they were going to suddenly move her, completely unrelated to this interview, completely unrelated to anything she said, to a prison not suitable for someone with her conviction. You want the American people to believe that. Do you think they're stupid? Patel said he is not involved in the daily movements of inmates, which may be true, but it is also not an answer to the question Schiff asked. Everything that had been building broke at once. Patel had deflected on the firings. He had refused to answer yes or no on the retribution question. He had given non-answers on the Epstein list. And now, on Maxwell's transfer, he had pointed at the Bureau of Prisons and walked away from the question entirely. And then something snapped. Patel launched. He accused Schiff of weaponizing intelligence. He said the FBI had proven Schiff to be a liar on Russiagate on January 6th on everything. He said Schiff ran to cameras to raise money off a charade. He called him an utter coward. Senator Grassley banged his gavel. Dick Durbin urged Grassley to take control. Neither man stopped. And then Patel delivered the line that would run on every network for the next 24 hours. You are the biggest fraud to ever sit in the United States Senate. You are a disgrace to this institution. Schiff stayed calm. He fired back. You can make an